Well, December has started off really cold. Take a look at this. These are departures from average so far. The average, if you take all of these numbers and sum them up, it's about 6 degrees below an average temperature. Now, listen, we've seen more extreme. I'd argue if you looked at last December, it was actually pretty warm month to date across the West, but there were some cold temperatures across parts of the Ohio Valley. We blistered in 2021. Guys, what I'm looking at is this number here at the bottom, right? So you see where it's showing your average here was 11 degrees above average. If you go back to 2006, it was 4.5. I was flipping through this, found some cold years. We had a couple, and granted, there were pockets of the country that saw colder temperatures. But when you look at that average, you actually have to go back to 1985. Now, look at this. It was blistering cold. If blistering cold is a thing in the central U.S., really cold. December 1985. December 1984 was also pretty cold, at least through the month to date. So, a cold start this month. I think there's more cold on the way, and I think that opens the door for more snow events. I'm not going to call them snowstorms, although it depends on where you are, arguably. You could call it a couple of inches a snowstorm if you're in the South. If you're in British Columbia or Alberta, not so much. There is going to be some snow into parts of the Southeast. I think we're going to talk about that here into North Carolina, at least a chance. And we're also going to watch this system that's moving through the Midwest. And we're going to look across the Pacific Northwest. And there's going to be some decent clipper systems that just start to, I don't know. I mean, it was a joke when I said it's going to glaciate. We're going to see it's going to put a glacier down. It's not really going to put a glacier down, guys. I'm being silly here, facetious. There's going to be a lot of snow falling, I think, in places where there hasn't been much, especially here into the prairies of Canada. And I think also across the western part of Canada where there hasn't been much. Unfortunately, we're in a bit of a snow drought across the Southwest. I don't think there's much snow on the way here, and the upper level pattern is actually supporting some pretty warm temperatures across the next couple of days. Let's talk about the snow that we're seeing right now and where it's headed. Multiple winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up. They go all the way to Chicago, at least with the winter weather advisories. That's with the snow that's continuing to move east here. This is a wide view of North America, deep low spinning across Hudson Bay, pulling in some cold air behind this. Cold high pressure diving in. Numbers will get really cold as we head into Sunday, also into Monday as this chilly high settles in and it pushes all the way down into Oklahoma. Eventually, it'll try to push some of that cold air into the Ohio Valley too. And then we're going to watch some return flow. This is that system that might bring a little snow here to West Virginia, Virginia, and North Carolina. Now, I don't think it's going to be a lot, but it's something to talk about. We're going to do that in the video here today in just a moment. But look at the overall pattern, right? You've got your ridge in the west, trough in the east, and you're getting these disturbances, these shortwave pieces of energy that are sliding in from the northwest. I'm going to let this roll to show you. There goes one. Here comes another one in behind it. As long as you keep this flow, you're going to keep these clipper systems and you're going to keep that moisture moving into the Pacific Northwest. You're going to keep it dry across the Southwest. And look, I don't see this pattern really starting to break until around the middle of the month, which it might. And if it does, the weather pattern will start to support different types of snowstorms, okay? And we're starting to see this show up really far down the road. This is when things could really amplify things up and change things. I don't think it changes across Texas. I don't think it's going to change across the far Southwest. It's going to be above average. I don't think that's going to change. This is almost that weak La Nina year, right? Almost neutral. So you're seeing that. The MJO phase is going into some, if you look at some of the guidance, it almost pushes it into a phase that's not really driven by the MJO. In other words, it gets to more of a neutral phase versus where it is now, 7 into 8. All right, we're not going to get into the weeds on that. The point is, I think it's going to stay warm across the Southwest, and we're going to be driven more by what's happening with our blocking patterns across the North Atlantic and also into the Pacific. I don't think the cold's going to back off, and the models may be underdoing the cold like they've done so far this year. Here's where the snow is going to fall over the next 24 hours or so. We've got that streak moving through the central parts of Illinois, or I should say northern Illinois, central Iowa into Chicago with some lighter snow into Michigan. This is the NAM, and it's the most aggressive with the snow here into North Carolina. Look at this, trying to put down a couple of inches. I mean, the newest NAM is trying to put down 4 inches of snow in Chesapeake and Suffolk and Norfolk and Virginia Beach. Don't know that I believe it yet, but it's really impressive to see this. This is the guidance from midday, a lot more suppressed. I think this is probably what we're going to see. But let's wait and see what happens tomorrow once the NAM gets into this time frame, which, I start to respect the NAM at about 48 hours, which is where this is at. Okay? Been forecasting for a while, guys. I would say don't turn your back on a snowstorm and don't throw the NAM out with the bathwater, because some of the guidance also, the GEFS, some of the ensemble guidance is also indicating there will be higher numbers across this area with this next piece of energy that's moving through. Okay, let's go back to this map. We'll talk about the snow that's falling across the northern Rockies into Idaho. Boise, no snow for you. I mean, it's going to be up into the mountains, but it could be heavy. And some of this snow could get pretty heavy east of the mountains. Maybe Billings gets some snow out of this next system that drops in as we head into, really, what is this, Tuesday into Wednesday. Really interesting to see that. And I'm telling you, you're going to really get some heavy snow across western parts of British Columbia, right along the coast. And some of that snow is going to spread inland too, as we get a lot of Pacific moisture moving in. And the European has been trying to put down some snow further to the east into the prairies here. We're talking about maybe Edmonton gets some snow. For now, I think it's relatively quiet here, but watch what happens as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. A couple more systems dropping in. If you look at this, these are snowfall totals in inches. So if you're talking about more than a foot of snow between now and next weekend across a lot of these areas in pink. Some of that sliding down into the states as well, across parts of North Dakota, South Dakota. And I think these clipper systems will have a tendency to drop some heavy bands of snow on the north side of wherever they go. More to come on that. Look at the snow piling up. This is a closer look into Western Canada. These are centimeters, so don't. I looked at this earlier and was like, oh my gosh, 117 inches out here towards Grand Prairie and Edmonton. I'm like, no, that's 111 centimeters, 113, 117, 220 centimeters. So you're talking about well over 150 centimeters now through next Sunday across this region into the mountains. So a very snowy pattern setting up across the west. And then again, where these disturbances move in, they're going to dive southeast, and then we're going to deal with more snow across the lower 48. Here's where we're at right now. Heavy rain moving into the Pacific Northwest with flood watches up. Some heavy snow into the Cascades, also the Canadian Rockies, and then here into the Northern Rockies too. We're going to get more snow as we move into Wednesday. This is the system that's probably going to try to drop a little more snow further east into Billings, into Calgary, further east into North Dakota, South Dakota. Pierre might get a little snow out of this. I don't know if Bismarck's going to get much, but maybe a little bit. And then how about that? We've not seen much snow in Denver, but maybe a little bit of precipitation tries to work into snow drought-stricken Colorado as we head into Friday and Saturday. And then we keep the active pattern across the west. Here's a look at your temperatures heading into Saturday. Look at this cold Arctic air dropping south. Temperatures well below zero as we wake up on Sunday morning, maybe getting a little bit warmer as we head into Sunday afternoon, at least into the single digits. Our weak clipper system moving east. Here comes that shortwave trough moving through the central plains. That's going to plow east and create some showers, rain showers mostly, heading into Sunday afternoon and evening across parts of the Tennessee Valley. Maybe mixing with a little bit of snow across southern Indiana, southern Illinois. Doesn't look like a huge snow setup by any stretch here. And then a weak disturbance moving east too across parts of Minnesota. I don't know, maybe a few flurries and snow showers out of this. The second system heading into Tuesday may be a little stronger, putting some more snow showers here. And then the one heading into Tuesday, another one behind it. I mean, look at this, guys. More snow on the way. You're just going to be adding to that snowpack across Wisconsin, and then the UP of Michigan gets the lake effect as we turn cold, and maybe things start to change heading into the 15th, 16th, and 17th. Again, I don't know. Let's watch and see. Do you truly get one of these negatively tilted troughs with a massive storm? Way too far to tell, but if the pattern changes, I think it's possible. Look at this bitter cold. This is cold. I'm telling you, if this was January, especially with more snowpack, and we're seeing it build, by the way, right? We showed you the models that's going to happen across the prairies of Canada. You put the snow down, that the cold air doesn't modify nearly as much. If anything, you start to build that cold across the continent. And then you talk about cold across the lower 48, a dam burst situation when you bust that cold south. That might be setting up for January. Okay, a little bit warmer, though. Check this out across the plains. Some of you might take 60. Live it up because, if your friends to the north, not warming up much. Another cold shot into Minnesota, Iowa. No relief here. This is relentless, guys. Look how cold this system's going to be. This cold air, rather, that's going to be following our clipper system as we head into Saturday and Sunday, being modeled out with lows in the teens below zero as far south as central Iowa. Again, remember, fresh snow on the ground. Highs may not get above zero into Chicago. We're in mid-December here, guys. Very cold, and maybe some more behind that. It all might change up a little bit. Maybe there'll be some relief around the 18th, 19th, and 20th. More to come on that as we get better details. Let's fine-tune this snow that's moving through Iowa, into Chicago, into southern Wisconsin, southern Minnesota as we head through the overnight. Once you get into the early morning hours, it's moving out of Iowa at this point, but it's still snowing here just to the north of this low. That's going to be your heaviest band here across central Illinois, moving right towards Chicago. So there could be some heavy snow, 2 to 5 inches. Some areas could see locally more. And then that weekends as that snow moves into Michigan, northern Indiana. I don't know if we get the snow down to Indianapolis, maybe a coating, not much really to write home about here, but we'll see light snow and snow showers around Detroit, Toledo, up to Windsor, up to Toronto, Hamilton. I don't know if it gets up to Montreal, but most of that snow is going to be on the New York side here from Buffalo, Dunkirk, Syracuse, Rochester, Glens Falls. Well, I don't know if we'll get to Glens Falls, but we'll definitely see it here across the Tug Hill Plateau into the Green and White Mountains, where we have had a tremendous start to ski season in the Green and White Mountains. Good grief, it's been amazing up here. If you're a skier, good snowmaking weather, good natural snow. I mean, I'd argue conditions are better in the Northeast for skiing than they are in the West right now. It's just incredible to see this. And now we're looking at this southern system moving by. It's going to bring some rain into Georgia, Alabama, and here comes the snow into western North Carolina. It looks like it's going to start early Monday morning. That could cause some slick travel here into the central and southern Appalachians, really across West Virginia, southwest Virginia. The NAM is getting really aggressive with this snow here into North Carolina over the last couple of runs. Again, you can see it here. This looks a little suspicious to me. Greensboro, I don't know, Hickory, a little bit of snow. Looks like the line. Charlotte looks like it's mostly a rain event. I think you're just going to see more of a rain-snow mix. But look how aggressive the NAM is getting toward the coast. This is where I think it's interesting. I'm not talking Wilmington. I'm not talking down at the beach. But I am talking about maybe Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and then here to eastern North Carolina, right? So Wilson, trying to think of some of these towns out here. Kinston, maybe. Yeah, maybe there's going to be some snow out here into parts of eastern North Carolina, and then snow showers lingering into the mountains. And then we're pretty much done with that system. Very interesting to see that. The evening European also a little bit further to the south and maybe a little more aggressive with that snow right here along the Tidewater region. Very interesting to see. And then as we head into the rest of the week, there comes that system through the northeast. Maybe some warming out ahead of this. Check it out. We might actually mix with a little bit of rain. And then the cold air comes in behind it, and the lake effect snow machine turns on Thursday into Friday with another system bringing more snow. Look at that. It brings another chance for that snow a little bit further to the north. Now, folks have been chiming in D.C. If you're watching this, it avoids you everywhere you go. I don't know. Even the next one, probably not going to bring much, even if it does put some snow here into the mid-Atlantic. Let's wait and see. This is the newest run of the European. If I went back to the midday run, again, cold air, but not really a lot of snow as we head into next weekend. And then things get interesting, I think, toward the middle of the month. All right, let's wait and see how all this shakes out. Do we end up with some kind of coastal storm? I mean, you're getting pretty far out here. Very interesting to see this. That would be one heck of a snowstorm that tries to ride up the coast. Okay, a long way to go before we get there. Here's a look at your temperatures. Let's track it out heading through Sunday. Cold air moving in through the Great Lakes into the Northeast, staying very chilly. We start to see some warming across the south as we head into Tuesday. Also into Wednesday, we're back up into the 60s from Macon all the way over to Tuscaloosa. I think we'll be very close to 60 anyway. And then maybe even in the mid-60s, close to 70, heading into Thursday and even into Friday. By Friday, we start to cool down. Temperatures get knocked back, even along the Gulf Coast, back into the 40s. But the real cold stays across the north. Chilly weather on the way, guys. I don't see a big warm-up on the way. In fact, if you look at the sudden stratospheric warming that's still showing up today toward the middle of the month, usually about a week after this, you see another cold blast down into North America. I think there's more cold on the way. I'll link to a description below for the long-range outlook. Thanks for watching. If you're new, hope you'll subscribe, come back if it's your first time here on the channel. thousands of you have subscribed over the last month. If you're brand new, always love hearing from you in the comments. Let me know where you're from, where you're watching from. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.